Hi, and welcome to my channel, my little booktube channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video that I'm probably not going to be doing many of, although you never know, I am being heavily influenced by booktube these days, so things maybe this is my reality from now on. But in general, I don't buy a lot of books. Most of my kind of reading habit is audiobooks, and I also use the library, and I have a Kindle. So that's kind of has been the way I've enjoyed books in the last several years, basically since 2018 when I got back into books. But I'm like recently, well, it's only been really since Christmas. Last Christmas, I went a little bit crazy and bought myself like, I think 5 books for Christmas. Plus I got like 2 as presents. So I had like so many physical copies of books. And I've kind of rediscovered the joy of actually reading a physical book. I also got like some books here that I have on loan that I'm reading from my parents, and it's just so nice having a book in your hand and reading. I'm not gonna stop using audiobooks or my Kindle, but there is something about actually having a physical copy that is just magical. And so I may have gone up the tiniest bit crazy. So I did not buy all of these books that I'm going to show you in one go. But actually none of the books that I'm going to show you here are used. They're all new. Amazon had this sale or discount type of a thingy, and I just decided to use that to buy the books. And also a few of the books I bought in the university bookstore or a big bookstore here close to where I live. And they was also discounted. So I have a lot of books that I want to show you. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 books. Yeah. They're all classics, and they are all books that have been on my to-buy list. Some for a shorter time, some only for a very short time, but some of them have been on my to-buy list for years, decades even. So I'm completely justified of having gone a little bit crazy in my buying of the books. But let's just go into the haul and let me show you all the books I've been buying in the last couple of weeks. I'm sorry about the lighting. We have beautiful sunshine, and there's just no way that I'm gonna like not see the sunshine, because you know it's February. I live in Iceland. This is glorious. So as I said, these are mostly classics. These are all classics that I bought, and they are mostly Victorian. But I do have a few that are not Victorian, but that I really wanted to buy. I'm on like one of my reading goals this year, and for the foreseeable future, I'm imagining, is to read Victorian literature, and mostly it is for sure English or like British, UK Victorian, but I'm also open to branching out to other cultures for sure. But at the moment it's mostly English and a couple of American there as well. Anyway, but I also bought, like I said, they're not Victorian, they're classics for sure. The first one is The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. I have actually read a couple of those. I feel that I read The Knight's Tale. I think that is because I found out that it's like the basis of the movie. I don't know if that's true or not, but at least I remember reading it. And there was another that I read as well when I did my English degree back in the last century. Oh, my cat here. Emma. Hi. You're in my way. My goodie. This is Emma. Yeah. So I'm going kind of in the order of publication. So this was published in the 14th century, like originally, or at least written in the 14th century. And it's going to be fun to read like a tale here and there, as you say. And also, as I said, I want to kind of start to branch out a little bit into different, not only like UK-based classics, which is my main interest, to be honest. And I've always wanted to read Goethe. And so I bought this one. There were a few books by Goethe available, but this one is short. So that was basically my reasoning for buying it. I have no idea what this book is, or I've never heard of it, to be honest. But I thought it was fun, and I love the Penguin Classics covers. I don't have a lot of them, but my cat was playing on the computer here. Anyway, so Goethe, The Sorrows of Young Werther. This was published in 1774, so an 18th century read. And then, of course, I am 100% in love with Mary Shelley. I've read Frankenstein, which is what I bought here. I read this a couple of years ago, or I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was narrated by Kenneth Branagh. Oh my God, it was sublime. But then I saw this edition, and I really like it. I think it's really cool. So I decided to buy it. I wanted to buy Matilda, which I read just a couple of weeks ago, but they didn't have that one. So I'm probably gonna have to order it eventually, or find it somewhere else. But so I have Frankenstein, which was published in 1818, and back in the day when I was in my English literature degree at the university last century, I fell in love with Edgar Allan Poe. We read a few of his poems and some of his stories, and then of course the Netflix series was fantastic, and it ignited my love of Edgar Allan Poe. And I've been reading his poems just online. I could almost like recite the entire poem of The Raven back in the day, or at least several of the verses, if not all of them. I love that poem. It is just like, I love Edgar Allan Poe. And when I saw that this was in the store, I was like, yes, of course I'm gonna buy it. Come on. So, and this is also around, I think, the middle, when was it? 1839, yeah, so just before the Victorian, I suppose. And then I also bought a few books that were published in the 20th century, early parts of the 20th century. And this book kind of caught my eye. James Joyce. Of course, I've heard about Ulysses and the Portrait of an Artist. Is that him as well? So he has a lot of famous books, as well as Dubliners. But the reason I decided to take Dubliners and buy that one is simply because I'm going to Dublin in April, and I thought, So that would be fun. And this was published in 19 something, 1914. And then I saw this book and I was very intrigued. I've heard of Edith Wharton. This is American. She's an American author, or this at least takes place in America. And that's really interesting. It takes place in the Victorian era or period, but it was published in 1920. But anyway, I think it's gonna be very fun to read, and I'm always trying to make sure that I have lots of female authors because I really enjoy that. And then I also saw this one just by accident, and I read Brave New World in high school, and I still remember it, and there are many years ago. And this was published in 1932, and this is like very much like a utopian, futuristic type of a book, but it really impacted me when I read it in my teens, and I can still like remember, you know, some of the scenes from it. So I decided to buy it. I mean, I don't know exactly when I will get around to reading it again, but I love the fact that I have it. But now we have the Victorians. Someone was talking about this book on booktube, and I started to remember the movie with Christopher Lee that I saw at some point when I was a teenager, or a young teenager, child really. And it was so scary and horrible. I've seen several I've seen several adaptations, some of them not good, some of them good, but this is such a fun story. So I'm gonna enjoy this one. Dracula. I love vampires. I'm a huge vampire fan. And another little bit scary book. I also remember seeing this movie or TV, an adaptation from this one when I was a teenager or young teen, and it like blew my mind. You know who these people are or were. And yeah, so I would really I've never read it. I've just seen the movie or the TV, so I definitely wanna read this at some point. This was a complete impulse buy. I remember reading this book in high school, and then we watched the movie, and I thought it was horrible. Like, it's a good book, like I enjoyed reading it, but the story is so horrible. That man was so horrible, and everything was so horrible and evil, and just like, ugh. So I don't really know why I decided to buy it. I think it's the copy of it. I just really, this edition. I think it's kind of a nice edition. I don't know. It was very cheap, so I bought it. Then this one, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Again, I don't really know a lot. It's about an unnamed young governess taking care of some orphans, something dark threatening them, supernatural. I don't know. Sounds scary. I was obviously in the mood for something scary when I was buying some of these books. So, Turn of the Screw by Henry James. And another thing that was quite scary, and I remember I listened to the audiobook of this not long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I feel like it was narrated by Stephen Fry, but I'm not sure. It was a very good narration, at least I remember it, because I actually read this book as well when I was in college, but I didn't really remember it so much from then. It didn't really stick with me so much, but when I listened to the narration, I was like, yeah, this is so good. So I figured, I should have a copy, because it was definitely 5 stars for me. And then I want to read some Russian literature, Russian classics. Dostoevsky is on my list, and this book, I saw this movie from the 1998 movie with Patrick Dempsey and Ben Kingsley, and it was so powerful. The power of guilt. feeling guilty, conscience. It was just, yeah, it was a very powerful movie, and I look forward to reading this book because this is on this year's reading goal is to read Dostoevsky and maybe some Tolstoy, but at least one Russian, and I cannot wait to read this book, although it's quite big. So now I have some kind of I have some more Victorians here. Last year I discovered Elizabeth Gaskell. I read Cranford, or listened to it as an audiobook, and I loved it. It was it was in my top 5 of last year. And I know that it's definitely not one of her best work, so I cannot wait to read more from her. But I did buy Cranford. Cranford is a short story / novella, and there are more stories in here. I can't wait to dive into those. I really enjoyed her kind of character building, descriptions, and just kind of these descriptions of people's kind of thoughts and motivations. It was really interesting. So I look forward to reading that, the other books. And I also decided to go ahead and just buy more of Elizabeth Gaskell, even if I haven't read any more of her, because I like her. So Wives and Daughters, and Mary Burton. I thought this would. I didn't look good enough when I was ordering this from Amazon, so I thought it would be in the same, because it's Wordsworth classics, just like this, but it is obviously not this. Doesn't look the same. I wanted them to look all the same, but it's fine. I can survive. Mary Bertrand, and then I have North and South, which many say is her best book. So yeah, that's gonna be fun diving into Elizabeth Gaskell. I also thought that since I'm doing a Victorian novel haul, or like buying these books, you cannot possibly buy Victorian literature and not buy George Eliot. I think she is considered to be one of the best Victorian, or even like ever. She's really good, and I know that a lot of people find her dense and her writing difficult, and there seems to be a little bit of a love. You either love her or you hate her writing, but I took the chance and I got 2 of her books. So I got The Mill on the Floss and Middlemarch. Now Middlemarch, I've seen a lot of reviews saying that it's probably one of the best Victorian novels ever written. So I figured I have to have that. And this was a kind of okay, let's just have 2 George Eliots. I hope it's a good book. I've heard, mixed reviews for sure, but I like kind of obscure, not obscure, but like dense writing, so I'm sure I will like it. Thomas Hardy is also an author that I've just recently kind of known about. I've known about him, of course. I've known like Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I've known this book for a very long time. And then I also bought Far From the Madding Crowd. These are really lovely editions. So I have 2 Thomas Hardys there. And then the same as with George Eliot, can you possibly have a collection of classics novels and not have Charles Dickens? Now this came in a very nice box set that I've obviously removed it from, but the box set, the box set is really beautiful. The box is really beautiful. So these are 1, 2, 5 of his kind of, some of his 5 of some of his most famous work. But yeah, it's really nice. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna keep them in the box. I just prefer the look of the books without the box. But it's a very nice, beautiful box. Maybe I can do something else with it. But the books I did get from Charles Dickens is A Christmas Carol, which is very happily very short. I got Great Expectations, which I've actually read. And it's not short at all, but I remember reading it. I have actually also read Nicholas Nickleby. That isn't one of the books here, but I would like to have that as well because I really enjoyed that. A Tale of Two Cities and Hard Times and Oliver Twist, which is also quite big. So yeah, so I have these 5 Charles Dickens books, and I think these are very cute editions, really lovely, beautiful, and I like the color scheme. So those are, I'm very excited about that. And then the last haul, part here, are the Bronte sisters. That is my goal for the year, is to read all of the Bronte sisters. So I bought the box set, and again it came in this box. This is actually a really nice box, and I can see myself just using it as a decoration or like storage box on my shelves, and just have, have it somehow, I don't know. I think that would be kind of cool. So the books I got Charlotte Bronte, Jane Eyre, which I read this, what is it called? January. So I read this. This was the first book that I read this year. Absolutely loved it. And then I bought Shirley, which I'm currently reading, and I'm loving it. Shirley. Then I also have Villette by Charlotte Bronte and The Professor. And look at it. It's so small. I love it. A lot of these books are so huge. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Show it properly. And then Anne Bronte's The Tenant at Wildfield Hall and Agnes Grey. I think these are really cute editions. So those were the books I bought. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited and happy I am that I have these books. But at the same time, I'm like, no more, woman, no more. I need to rearrange completely my bookshelves to fit them. I had already started doing that, and then remember that I wanted to do a haul. These are my Jane Austen. I bought these a couple of years ago. Really beautiful edition. When I bought them, I didn't look at the description well enough. I thought these were like full-size hardback books. They are not. But so I haven't read them because they're so beautiful. I'm afraid to like destroy them. So I might possibly get like the Wordsworth or the Penguin editions of these books and just have these in their little box as display items, because they're really beautiful. But it definitely did teach me to, you know what? You need to actually read the description of the books before you actually buy them, because otherwise you might get something you didn't mean to buy. But anyway, I'm so happy that I have all these books, and I'm really glad also to have kind of found my joy of reading physical copies. I think that's really fun. But yeah, so this is my classic haul. I am on the hunt for good thrillers and historical fiction, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. Do you have any of these books? Would you like any of these books? Have you read any of these books? I would love to hear from you. down in the comments if you are interested, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.